Welcome back to Hair Smarter, everyone, and Happy New Year. We give you what hair school forgot to, the conversations that make you sharper, savvier, and a little more human behind the chair.
We wanted to start by giving you the tea on us, who we are, who we came from, and what shaped the way we see the craft and the community.
If you've ever wondered who's behind Hair Smarter, this is the one to listen to.
So grab your coffee, a quiet corner of the salon, and let's get into it.
I mean, we did get a lot of questions about how did you meet, what inspired It's the BREAKROOM, which is our big parent education company, and how Decades Behind the Chair turned into building an education brand.
Yeah, so today we're interviewing each other, and we're going to go back to our childhood roots, early salon lessons, creative breakthroughs, and those behind the chair moments that made us who we are as stylists, educators, and humans.
All right, I think we need to start like early roots, where it all began. Was there a moment in your youth or growing up that you think shaped how you show up behind the chair today?
Yeah, of course. There's like many moments, but I really want to talk about this moment in beauty school because I remember thinking to myself, I will never be a hairstylist like this. So in beauty school, I had my haircut. It was probably one of the first haircuts that I had in beauty school. And they were doing a demonstration in one of the back rooms. And I think maybe one of the models didn't show up or something. And they came back and like asked me really quick, do you want to cut your hair? And I was like, yeah, but I don't want it too short. And I want to have some hair and some texture. And they were like, okay, yeah. And literally, I'm in a room full of people watching me get my hair cut. And the stylist was a male, and we don't need to say who it is.
Okay.
But I remember just feeling not in control, and that's okay. As a client, you don't need to be in control because that's why you go to see a professional, right? But I remember just feeling kind of like a piece of meat.
Oh.
Like the person was pushing my head around and touching me in a way that didn't feel soothing at all.
Mm.
And how else can I explain like the lack of empathy that I felt from
Oh.
this person? And then of course, he literally cut all of my hair off without even saying in the middle of it, like, hey, this just isn't working. Are you okay if we go a little shorter? So I was really traumatized. I went home and I slept with a hat on for 2 days because
Oh.
it was so short and it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I expected. So there's two parts to this. I show up gentle
Yeah, you do.
because I think the way you touch people is really important. Like when you
Mm.
put your hands on somebody, I want my clients to feel a sense of warmth and a sense of they're being taken care of. So the way I touch people because of this experience is so much gentler. And also
Interesting.
the way I communicate with people. I always check in. Are we okay with this?
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel like I had a choice in the matter. And if something shifts and changes in the middle of the haircut, I always try and communicate what's going on. Hey, I just did this. I don't feel like your texture's reacting the way I wanted it to. So we're going to make some shifts. Are you okay with that? I remember walking away from that experience saying to myself, I will not show up behind the chair like this person did to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's so crazy, and I think you do show up in that way, in a very, like, gentle yet confident way, which really does set people at ease, right?
Yeah,
That's, like, a really,
I hope
really
so.
big thing. Yeah, for sure.
So,
Plus,
yeah.
I'm so over, like, hairdressers or massage people or dermatologists or doctors that show up and they just start being, like, Rambo, and you're like, "Okay, but what are we doing?" And that's okay to ask for an explanation and be like, "All right, let's have a plan and stick to it," right?
100% because it's something that we do every day and it's so normal for us to like just go through the process really quick, but it's not normal for
No.
somebody to come in and cut 12 inches off their hair like that. It's
Yeah,
easy for us to do that, but it's a little bit more of a process for the clients, I think. So
of
I
course.
think it is important to like go through it step by step, talk about the process, and like if you're gonna cut a little bit off in the beginning, tell them that. Don't just
Yeah,
like lop off their hair. You have to communicate during the whole
yeah,
process.
yeah,
And I
100%.
want that to happen to me too. Like you said, that the doctors, like, this isn't something that I do every day. So
Yeah. Can you
coach
let
me
me know
a
if you're
little
gonna,
bit.
like, cut something or stick something up as something, right? I mean, whatever.
All right, Sarah, it's your turn.
All right.
What did you learn about yourself in those early days? Apprenticing, assisting, or experimenting?
Mm, that's a great question. I think I learned a lot about myself in those early days for sure. And I think that a little background, I played field hockey my whole life, which is like Northeast, the power sport of field hockey, and I actually was a really good field hockey player and ended up playing at University of Maryland, and they, had a great field hockey program when I went there, they still do, and so I was very used to either being as a team the center of attention or as a player the center of
Mhm.
attention, especially,
Mhm.
like, more in high school and things like that. So, the things that I learned at Maryland and during my athletic career as being a teammate, that could easily switch over to being an assistant or an apprentice. But the way that you do attention and the way that you are of service to people, that changed a lot. So, apprenticing or assisting, we went to the same hair school. We went to, no, we did not go to University of anything. We went to Vidal Sassoon. And then we met at Bumble and Bumble back in the early 2000s.
Mhm.
So, they had a very lively and vibrant apprenticeship program there. And it was a very different thing to be of service to a stylist or
Mhm.
of service to a client. And
Mhm.
most of the time, it's doing things that you don't really want to do. But I made a decision early in that process of I want to be the best at whatever it is that I'm doing. So if it's apprenticing, I want to answer your question before you have to ask it.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
let me get there early. I can always control what time I show up for things and how I show up for things. Let me make sure I know what's going on with the schedule so that you can actually just focus on your job of cutting the person that you're with
So important.
and, servicing that client. So it's such an interesting way of stacking service, right?
Yeah.
I could take care of the background stuff while you do the stuff that's up front. So that felt very easy to fall into and
Mhm.
also felt very fulfilling when I knew I finished the day with apprenticing with someone and it went seamlessly. Like that was great.
Were you a stylist before you went to Bumble? I mean, were you cutting hair in a salon as a stylist
I
before you
actually
apprenticed
wasn't. Yeah,
Bumble?
I went to Sassoon, and then I worked at a small salon called Steam in Beverly Hills,
Oh,
and
okay. That's crazy.
yeah, I know, right? And then I was there for, I don't know, maybe 6 months, and there was a girl who came there who had just come from Bumble and Bumble in New York, and, like, I mean, this girl, her name's Valerie, she never got tripped up with anything, and she was amazing with the razor work, and I was like, "Oh, I
Mm,
want that."
mm,
So, I didn't wanna go through, like, a small apprenticeship program, I wanted to go through the best apprenticeship program,
mhm,
and so I moved to New York because I'm
mhm.
from the East Coast anyway, I like, that's my energy, so,
Yeah.
I came out to Bumble and interviewed, and that was that. So, I hadn't had that experience yet of, like, being on the floor, but I went to college first, so I did start a little bit later, and
That's right.
I liked that actually because I felt like I didn't have I need to go out and party every night, like, that thing. It was really just
Mhm.
focusing on my job, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, the
Yeah.
experimenting was interesting. Like, it's really annoying to go get models. We had to do 4 or 5 models every Monday. And back in the day, it was not online. It was like, go out in the city. There's a place called Union Square where all these, like, skaters and, like, whoever are
Kids,
hanging out. There was a big
kids.
bookstore, right? And you literally had to go up to someone and be like, "Hi, my name's Sarah, and I work at Bumble and Bumble, and we're doing a workshop on Monday, and I'd love for you to come in and be my haircut model." Like, you had to ask people over and over and over again, and it was fucking brutal. I am, like, a very extroverted person, but that feeling, like, even when we have to find models for our break room stuff online, I'm always like, "Oh god," to ask people. But I guess you learn something about yourself in that situation too, right? Because you
So
have
cool.
to put yourself out there so that someone is there so that you can build your craft, but also service them, and everybody's gotta win in that situation. If they're getting a bob and they want a bob, cool.
Mhm.
Like, if you need that to further your career, you need to take care of yourself too. So, yeah, that was really interesting as well, I think.
Yeah, I love that.
I don't know. Should we talk about the craft years, the formation of ourselves? Tell me about your first real salon job. Was it like
Gosh.
thrilling, terrifying?
Both actually.
Huh?
So my first salon job was at Vidal Sassoon in Beverly
Ooh.
Hills.
Ooh.
I was an apprentice. I went straight from beauty school to an apprenticeship there, and let's just say it was more terrifying than thrilling.
Okay. They're like hardcore, right?
Like, so hardcore, and also I felt like I was a little baby just, like, going to Beverly Hills to work every day, and I lived, like, 30 miles away, so I drove up every day and drove home every day in LA traffic. It was crazy. But Sassoon, I mean, it was a place that I felt like you were saying, I wanted to learn from the best.
Mm,
And however long I needed to be there, I was in it. I was not
yeah.
flopping around trying new things. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to learn. I'm going to do the best. So it was a crazy place because you're in a room full of creatives that
Mm,
have had years of experience with assistants, and they know what they want, they know what they like. Nobody's gentle with you there.
nope.
You're kind of just like thrown in and you're like tossed around until you get it. And I have to tell you, as scary and crazy as it was, I really learned the value of, like what you were talking about, service, and how to show up and be a person without ego in that industry. Because as assistants, you had to scrub the floor every night and you had to clean the bathrooms every night. You had to make sure all the towels were folded. The color room was neat and organized. I mean, it wasn't really about hair. It was about keeping the salon itself like neat and tidy. That wasn't even the beginning of it. I mean, it was how you showed up literally in the space. You could not fold your arms. You could not lean on one leg. You could not lean against the wall. I remember I was blow drying a client and it was a row of stations. So my manager was probably like 5 chairs away. And I was blow drying a client and the plugs were underneath the client's feet. And the blow dryer cord fell out of the wall.
Oh,
So my
no.
blow dryer stopped working and the chairs were so close together. Well, the client like right away just like leaned over and reached for the plug to plug back in the wall.
Aw.
And I looked over at my manager and
So pissed.
he was so pissed. And it happened before I could even react that she leaned over, and I got in so much trouble for
I
that
bet you did.
because the client is not supposed to do that stuff.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
But I just learned a lot about what a high quality service should look like.
Mm.
And I appreciate that and I value that so much. And it has stayed with me like all of these 30 years. And I don't think the kids are getting it this year.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't
not this
know. It's
year, but, like, in this generation, you know?
I mean, I don't know. I think some of them are. I think having a standard or having an expectation is actually a really good thing. Like being excellent at what you do is not just about the haircut or the color service that you're giving. It truly is the entire thing. And so, yeah, on the surface, when you're young, you're like, who gives a fuck? Like, why do I have to do this today? I could do this tomorrow morning. There's enough towels. Like, okay, I left one color tube out, la, 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 la. But actually, it's those little things, even doing those little things in excellence
Yes.
create this energy and space for you to do what you do with excellence. So,
100%.
yeah, and I don't know if we, like, truly appreciate it until we've had both sides of it, you know?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. Alright, Sarah, who was the most influential mentor or teacher you had, and what did they teach you that still lives in your hands?
Well, I think that there's 2 actually, now that I'm thinking about it. This concept of excellence and having an expectation for yourself that you can achieve that actually came from my field hockey coach in
Mm,
college. She
mm,
was listen, she was tough. If that woman
bet.
today, I just wanna be clear that I'm 48 years old. If that woman today was like, "Get on the end line, we're gonna do a run," I'd do it. Like, I don't wanna do it. I haven't run in many years, but the respect that I had for her as a leader and knowing that she could pull out this excellence out of a group of people and also is a little scary, that I really, really, really respected. I think that has followed me through my life, especially as an educator. But the second person that has been so influential as a mentor was actually my teacher in my apprenticeship at Bumble, and his name was Mark Berardi. He was amazing. He was different from Missy Mahark, who was my coach. Like, he also had an expectation of excellence, but it was a quiet, gentle one. And so
Mm,
it was, I'll show you if you quiet down and listen.
yeah,
But if you don't want to listen, then whatever, right? So, like, it was a choice to show up into Mark's class, I felt like, and to actually settle my mind and quiet my mind so I could listen to what he had to say. And if I took that time with him to listen, I got some of the most amazing things. He was very into music and very into architecture. And I love that feeling
mm,
of being able to look at a Bob, but also look at this piece of architecture in the greatest city in America and like go do those things and ask him. And that has changed me as well. So I think as a teacher and as a stylist, being able to take those things that both of those people, although they went at it in a very different way, that idea of excellence. Like, if you want to be pushed really hard, I can do that for you. But also, if you just want to show up in a gentle way, then I can do that for you too. But the whole point is that you need to show up and ask for that. Like, I'm willing
yeah,
to go through the thing with you. I'm
yeah,
willing to, like, let's be partners and I'll show you what I know and you can take that or whatever. I can be of service to you, but, like, I'm not gonna do it if you don't wanna do it.
yeah, I love that. I
Yeah.
love the gentle approach because it kinda goes back to what we were talking with Gabby about, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't feel safe in an education environment, things aren't sinking in, or at least for me. When I was in class with people that weren't gentle, let's just say, I was in a fog. Literally, I
Yeah.
could not focus. I was like, "Oh my god, what's happening? Oh my god, did I do something wrong?" Like, that's how people made you feel, like, and it's like,
Yeah.
so I love that. I love that. It's so
Yeah,
important.
and I actually think, like, the way that those 2 people showed up and in the order they showed up for me was great. Because, yes, Missy Mahard could get a lot out of us physically, and we were excellent athletes at that time. That way of teaching people to do things, like, it does help you build a tough skin, but Mark actually helped me, at least, take that away so that I don't need a tough skin to be in a creative environment, or
That
I shouldn't. I shouldn't need that, you
yeah.
know?
No, you
Yeah.
shouldn't. No.
What about you? I'm sure you've had influential mentors and teachers. Is there one that sticks out for you?
Sure, of course. I mean, yeah, I've had many. One that I really want to talk about is Nikki on Levy from Bumble. So, unlike you, I had been a stylist for 8 years in California before I moved to New York. So,
Wow.
I had some experience behind the chair, mostly cutting. Actually, I did color hair back in California too. I can't even believe I did that, but I did. And when I moved to New York, I went through Bumble's apprenticeship program. And along with that, they were in transition to opening the downtown salon. So they were really focused on making educators to teach in the university downtown. So I picked that path immediately.
Mm,
And so they also put you through all the cutting classes and styling classes, which were not part of the regular apprenticeship program. I think they were like in an afternoon, like on a Wednesday or something, not on Monday on the regular class day. And Nikki was our styling teacher.
mm.
And what I loved about Nikki was she was firm, like Missy, like your coach. She also kept a sense of humor and was also really approachable. She didn't do anything for us either. It was like, no, that's not right. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. And it was painful and it was hard, but she really forced us to see hair in a different way, or at least me. I came out of Nikki's class with my mind blown, actually. I was like, oh my God, I did not even know what the grain of hair was.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? I was like, mind blown. Also, Nikki taught me that hair was elastic. I mean, 8 years of doing hair. Also, it was the 90s.
Yeah.
We were like killing the hair with a flat iron, like
Yes.
every single client. So that's like zero elasticity, but like how you can really keep the bend and the bounce in the hair. I had no idea. And I loved that she changed my perspective. She
Mm,
was able to shift the way that I saw things. And that is like real growth,
yeah. Yeah. I
you
love it.
know?
When did you first feel like an educator instead of just a stylist? Because you signed up for that path. So was there like a moment?
So I'm going to take this back to California. I was working in a salon in Orange County, and I think we had a class day and the instructor either didn't show up or had something else to do. And my boss was like, hey, you're going to teach today, and kind of
Oof.
like threw it at me. And I just was like, okay. And at that moment, when I was trying to translate the information that I had in my mind to verbally explaining it, it just fell out of my mouth. And it came out so naturally that I think I was on a high when I finished that class for like a week. I kind of was like
Oh.
bouncing around and I was like, oh my God, this actually felt so good to me to be able to give back. And it was more of a like, oh, wow, I have a real opportunity to not improve, but give our industry like quality.
Mm,
Felt like
mm.
I was really well trained and
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to give that to other kids that maybe weren't fortunate enough to be trained where I was trained.
I love it. I love it. That's so amazing.
What's one core philosophy about hair or people that's never changed for you?
Whew, that's a big one. I think I think it's about people and then hair comes into that, right? So I
Mm,
think that all people live in their head. They see the world with which the way they create it in their head, right?
for sure.
Whatever is important or not important or makes you upset or doesn't make you upset. And we spend our entire life trying to handle the things that we're creating in our head, whatever that stress is, right?
Mhm.
And we spend our entire life trying to express that, but also understand that or try to understand the people that we care about. right? Like,
Mhm.
that's really what it is. I mean, if you think about, like, the arguments that you have with your partner or with your parents when you're growing up or your siblings or whatever, it's really just a miscommunication. And so
Yeah.
I think that's typically what it is. I don't think there's, like, good and bad people. I think there's just people, and it's really, like, we all struggle with something,
Yeah.
right?
Instead of like trying to understand the other person's perspective, people take it as like a shot against me.
Yeah,
And it's just
when
like,
it's not.
no, we all have our own perspective. We all have our own views on things.
Yeah, totally, right? And so I kind of learned I'm very much a community-based person, and I'm very much like, let's look at the not the differences that we have with each other, but the things
Mm,
that we have the same. Like,
yeah.
that's always been something that's been part of my life. And I'm not very judgmental of other people's shit, right? Because, like,
Yeah.
everybody goes through their own thing.
Yeah.
So that being said, that was very long-winded, is that people are all struggling and all are trying to communicate just what makes them happy and what makes them comfortable, right?
Mhm.
And so I like to lean into that when I'm teaching. I like to lean into that with a client. I try very, very hard not to see the right and wrong in things because that's in my head, right? But just to
Yeah.
see whatever it is. If a client comes in and they say, let's say, I want these short, tiny little bangs that are at my hairline. My first thing is like, okay, um, my question is, "Oh, that's interesting. Why do you like that? Like, do you have a reference picture of something that you like, right?
Yeah.
Does it make you feel a certain way? Like, that's what I wanna know. Like, how does it make you feel? Oh, it makes you
Mhm.
feel whatever. Cool, let's do it. I'm gonna do the best tiny little fucked up bang at your hairline that I can, right? Because it makes you feel something.
Yeah.
Do I wanna wear that on my body? I do not,
No.
because I would look like a fucking crazy person.
Yeah.
But, like, it's not about that. It's not about, like, the right and wrong for me. It's really about taking that step and listening and trying to feel what the other person is feeling. And that to me is my goal
Yeah.
every day. That will never change whether I'm teaching, whether I am doing hair, whether I'm talking to someone in my family. I try very hard to be like respectful of what someone else is feeling. I will say that this year especially has been tough with politics because I have some very differing opinions than some people in my family, and I mean, I'll leave it at that, but it is a thing to try to look past those thought like, sometimes people say things, and this could happen in class too. We'll keep it with hair. Like, they could say, "Well, no, I actually don't," like, I heard a lot when I was teaching styling classes, like, "Well, my wrist doesn't do that. Like, I don't blow dry like that." And I'm like, "Okay." I hear that, but, like, what is it that they're actually saying? Like, "That's uncomfortable for me. I've never done it like that. My clients are happy with the way I do it." And it's like, "Okay, I'm not saying you have to do it at home, but if you wanna try it here in class, cool."
Yeah.
And when I took the right and wrong out of it and really took the right and wrong out of it, like, I wasn't trying to convince them, but
Yeah.
really was just like, "Hey, try this, see if you like it," then at least they
Yeah.
have it, and they can go back to it if they wanna.
Totally. This is just a technique that
Yeah,
we use here. Just give it a go while you're here. You're in a classroom setting. You have us to like, fall back on. Just try it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, even when I was like, I taught a bunch of classes in Cambodia in Southeast Asia, for cutting. And when I tell you these girls were not into bobs, they were like, "Pfft, absolutely not."
Nobody's going to
Right?
wear that.
Yeah, like, absolutely not. They thought it was like the ugliest thing in the world. And I was like, okay, but this is kind of like a big part of the curriculum, but for sure. Right. And it was funny because in their culture, long hair is really important when you're a woman. And
Yeah.
so, of course, they don't like bobs.
Right.
Fast forward 10 years, they're much more like, tourism has been in that country, especially in that city that we were in. They see a lot more different types of people. They're more active online and whatever social media they're active in.
Uh huh.
Now they call it the working haircut or the professional haircut, like working women wear bobs. So it's like, okay, like whatever, but at least you have the skill set to know how to do it or not do it, right?
Exactly. And where to
Yeah.
apply it. I think
Yeah.
that's really important. You have to have the skill set for whatever is going to come your way. So being open is important,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So I think like the one core philosophy is that there really isn't a right and wrong. There's just what it is.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
What has changed the most about your view of success in the industry?
That's interesting. I think in the beginning, when you're an apprentice and you're a young stylist, your success is fully booked, making buco bucks, and people love you. I mean, I'm going to talk about in salon careers for now because
Sure.
that's the career path that I've chosen, and also to be an educator. And I just feel like that kind of goal is not super sustainable anymore, especially if we're going to talk about like long-term vibes. Like if we want to stay in the industry as we age and get older, success for me now is like okay, so being able to do what I want to do within that,
Yes.
being busy and making the amount of money that I want to make, whether that be education, learning new techniques, and like experimenting within the industry, like trying fashion or going to do fashion week or getting in on set, or maybe you want to work in like TV, learning as much as you can
Mm,
within the industry. And success for me now is more about, like I said, sustainability. Like I can do the things that I want to do, like go on vacation when I want to go on vacation. I can work the hours that I want to work
yeah.
within my means, and I'm not like overdoing it. I'm not burnt out. I'm not going crazy and like staring at the ceiling every night when I come home because I have no energy left. It's like I've learned and created balance in my life. And to me, that means success because
Yes.
in this industry, we are kind of forced because we don't make a salary.
Yeah.
We're kind of forced to like do it, do it, do
Yeah.
it, do it, do it. Like say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes. And like also boundaries, having boundaries is successful because as a young person, I did not have boundaries.
Yes.
Maybe it's like not answering the phone or emails like 1 or 2 days a week. Like give yourself a weekend. And it's interesting that I call that success because any other industry doesn't think like that.
No. No, and it's funny how it can shift with age and with wisdom, and maybe that's not the way it'll be for someone else, but, like, truly, what I hear you saying is, like, you have found your own version of success, and you are comfortable and happy in that. So,
Yeah.
like, that is success, right? Like, you're not living someone else's pipe dream.
Right. Or mimicking what somebody else has done before me.
Yeah. And truly, like, because we have been in the industry for a really long time, I feel like the 90s and 2000s were about that. It
Mhm.
was about excessive money, doing 15 clients a day, whatever it was, like, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Now,
Having a wait
even
list.
yeah, that was a whole thing, right? Like, how do you get to be
That's
a
stressful.
hairdresser with a wait list? At least in New York, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And I do think that has shifted a bit, not for everyone, but, like, I mean, I'm with you. Yeah,
Same.
crazy.
All right, Sarah. How do you define mastery?
Mm. Great question. So I thought about this a lot. Out of all the questions that we were thinking about, this one I was like, "Ooh, yeah, this is a good one." So this is something that I found that I feel like is 100% true. Mastery is the point where your knowledge, what's in your head, and the skill that you can do with your hands merge so completely that the execution becomes intuitive. So,
Mm.
like, when you don't just know how to do something, you actually feel how to do something. And then you can adjust instinctively and understand why behind every choice. So, I feel like I have started to feel mastery maybe 6 or 7 years ago within
Mhm.
my own work.
Mm.
You know, you go through stages and, like, I was a really good hairdresser for a while, right? But now it's like you just feel it and, like, you know where to take the weight out. You're not thinking about it so much, it just happens. I think this is probably how people feel when they are completely 100% fluent in another language.
Mm.
Like, they
Mhm.
can switch it on like that and, like, are not thinking or translating, right?
Yeah.
And I feel
Yeah.
like that is true mastery. I also think about mastery. That is something that no matter how good you are, how talented you are, how busy you are, how whatever you are, it takes time. And like, that's the cool thing about doing a craft or a skill, like a learned skill for your entire career. Like you're close to 30 years, and that's when you start to feel mastery.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
fear attached to it anymore. Second guessing or, lack of confidence.
Or
Mm.
like the fuck, I don't know what to do. Like you don't have that. You're like, oh, I'll just try this and see if this works. And
Yeah,
then if that doesn't work, I'm not stressed out about it. I just do this to counteract it and
100%. Yes.
done, done, done.
Yeah.
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 All right. What's one moment behind the chair that reminded you why you do this work?
I don't think there's one moment that defines this. I think it's every day, like little moments pop up with each client. There's a moment sometimes that happens when you change somebody's hair, like a big
Ooh,
change. And they just like take a deep breath and are like, wow, you really made me feel amazing. You really
yeah,
made me feel beautiful. Sometimes it's not even about hair, right?
yeah.
It's about the connections and the relationships that I build behind the chair that really always remind me why I do this work. When I was a young person, I had a really hard time connecting with people because I was so shy. And I think that's one of the things that led me and kind of like forced me to do hair because I was like, well, this is gonna really teach me to not be shy. There's also still like there's a natural shyness to me, but it's really sort of like forced me and pulled me out of that. At least and now I can have a conversation with somebody that I don't know and I'm totally comfortable with it.
I just want to remind you that you do a podcast now, so I'm pretty sure you've come quite some way.
Totally. Totally. So yeah, it's not really one particular moment, but it's all the little moments in between the connection and the like really making people feel good about themselves.
Mm,
That's why I do this for sure.
yeah, yeah, I love it.
And so what kind of person are you behind the chair that people might not expect?
I actually love this question. And the reason I love this question is because I think there's an expectation, to be completely honest. Both you and I have a pretty stacked resume. But now so soon, Bumble and Bumble, Fashion Week for 20 years, all the things, right? Like we played in the big leagues for a really long time. Um, I feel like when I meet new clients, I'm blessed to like be pretty busy. And when I meet new clients, they're like, oh, you're so nice and normal. I get that all the time. Like, "Oh, you're actually a really nice person." And on the surface of that, I'm like, "Oh, wow." So many people have had the experience in our city where they show up to like a nice salon or someone that they've tried to get in with, and they expect them to have an attitude or be about themselves or
Mm,
whatever that is, or like be nasty or not listen or be judgmental. And that to me is really sad because that's something in our industry where I'm like, uh-oh, did we forget we were service providers? Like
show
that's
up
a
as a
big
human being, please.
hello,
Like,
right? So that's very sad for me. But at the same time, I'm glad that I get to give a high-end luxury quality service while still being someone that's main focus is to be of service to them. So like,
yeah.
how can we connect? What do you want to talk about? What are we going to do? I sit down with them before every service and I'm like, all right, so tell me everything. What's going on? And really, they mention about 3 things with their hair, if they mention it at all. It's really more about like, "I feel this, I feel that, this doesn't feel like it fits me, I feel uncomfortable," right? Those are the things that they're really saying.
Mhm.
And then after they talk about that, I say, "Oh, okay, great. So, like, where actually do you wanna bring the length to?" Right? Like,
Right.
that's how it goes.
Right.
And really, it's about connecting with someone and just hearing them.
Yeah.
What do they want? They really just want to feel comfortable in their skin and in their hair and to feel either beautiful or alive or comfortable or whatever that word is. That's what we're going to try to go for. So I think it's interesting that the higher end services that people get, they expect you to be judgmental, which is like, Did we
No,
forget how to be human? Like, that's weird. So it is funny because
not
most of the
acceptable.
new ones are like, oh, you're so normal. I also want to say this. I have worked at high-end salons my entire life. They put an emphasis on dressing up, wearing makeup, wearing high heels. Like, that has been my life, arguing with managers about what that is, right? For me, it is nice to own my own business and to show up in my own way, right?
Yeah.
I'm never going to wear high heels again. The last day I wore high heels was on my wedding, and it was like for 5 minutes. That's not who I am, right? Like,
And it's
I
not
really
sustainable either. Like,
no.
no.
Who what? So, like, yeah, I'm gonna show up. It's my workspace to work on you. Yes, of course I need to be presentable, but, like, I am not gonna go all out. So, when I hear managers talk about that, on the surface, I get it. You want to have a place look professional, but at the same time, this isn't the show. This isn't entertainment. I'm not here just to, like, whatever. I'm here to work on you. And I saw that the most with the men that do editorial. They show up in jeans and a flannel. And I was like, fuck that. I'll go show up in jeans and a flannel.
Yeah.
And there was very much a very difference of expectation there. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. And one thing I want to go back to
Mm,
about what you said about making somebody feel comfortable in the chair.
yeah.
If your client's not comfortable in the chair, how can I be comfortable? Because I'm sitting there behind them working on their
Yes.
hair and I can feel their energy and I know they're not uncomfortable. So why am I going to spend my hour while I'm giving you a service uncomfortable? It's
The
the
worst.
worst feeling in the world. Yes.
Yeah. On that note, what kind of energy do you try to bring to the salon space and why?
Well, I think it's really important to bring kindness and openness and gentleness. Like, those were my three big answers. Well, all of those three things I bring to the
Yeah.
space because I want to receive them back.
Yes. Right?
Yes, openness for the client that, may be having a hard time, like shifting or changing. Sometimes they have unrealistic expectations what their hair can and can't do. So just try and be a little open. And
Yeah.
like, we don't have to do it today, but maybe I'm going to plant the seed for a shorter haircut for like, 6 months down the road when you've processed the information. Just be open. And I want to be open to receiving any information that you bring to me or
Mm,
something that you can teach me. And like, I think kindness is super important. We all, as human beings, need to be practicing kindness day in and day out. I, want my clients to sit down and be kind to me. So I am kind to them.
yeah.
And like we talked about being gentle before, like getting a haircut for some people is not enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's stressful and it brings up trauma, PTSD, like all kinds of things. Just be soft with people. It's important. I'm soft with people. Allow them to like process whatever they're processing in front of me. It's not like you said, it's not judgment. It's just it is what it is. And I show up because that's the way I want to be treated, you know?
I like it. I like that.